The night didn't arrive suddenly. It settled in slowly, almost politely, as if it didn't want to disturb anything that was already tired. Rain began tapping against the window, not loud enough to demand attention, but steady enough to be impossible to ignore. Inside the room, nothing moved. Not because time had stopped, but because there was no reason to rush. The light was low, warm, and forgiving. It didn't expose flaws or create sharp shadows. It simply existed, allowing the room to breathe. Moments like this don't announce themselves. They don't feel important at first. They just happen quietly, like thoughts you don't realize you're having until they're already there. This was the kind of night where you could sit for hours, doing nothing, and still feel like something meaningful had occurred. The kind of night that doesn't ask questions. It just waits. Rain has a way of bringing things back. Not memories you want to revisit, but the ones you never properly closed. As the drops slid down the glass, they blurred the outside world into something softer, something less demanding. Streetlights turned into reflections. Movement slowed. Edges disappeared. Inside, the sound of rain filled the gaps between thoughts. It replaced the need to speak. It replaced the urge to explain. Every drop felt like a reminder that not everything needs a response. There are moments when the past doesn't hurt anymore, but it still lingers. It stays in the background, like a song playing in another room. You don't actively listen to it, but you know it's there. The rain didn't try to erase anything. It didn't wash memories away. It simply softened them, enough to coexist with the present. Rooms remember things, even when people don't. Walls absorb voices, pauses, and unfinished conversations. They hold laughter that faded too quickly and silence that lasted too long. This room felt full, even though it was empty. Not crowded, just aware, as if it knew what had been felt here before. As if it had learned not to interfere. Silence here didn't feel awkward. It felt intentional, like something carefully placed rather than something missing. There was comfort in knowing that nothing was expected. No performance, no explanations, no need to be anything other than present. The room didn't ask for answers. It allowed questions to exist without demanding resolution. Stillness is often misunderstood. People assume it means emptiness, boredom, or lack of direction. But stillness is rarely empty. It's full of things settling into place. In the quiet, thoughts slowed down, not because they disappeared, but because they stopped competing with each other. There was space to notice breathing again, to notice how heavy or how light the body felt. Moments like this don't change you immediately. They don't offer clarity. They don't offer solutions. They simply create room. And sometimes room is exactly what you need. Room to feel without reacting. Room to exist without fixing, room to accept that not every emotion needs to become a plan. Stillness doesn't move you forward, it prepares you to. The candle burned quietly near the window. Its flame flickered, not because it was failing, but because the air shifted around it. That small movement felt important. The flame didn't fight the darkness. It didn't try to overpower it. It simply shared the space. There's something honest about that, about light that doesn't demand control, about presence that doesn't insist on permanence. The candle didn't rush. It didn't panic about how much time it had left. It burned steadily, moment by moment. Watching it felt grounding, a reminder that existing calmly in uncertain conditions is sometimes enough. Not everything needs to burn brighter to be meaningful. Some things just need to last long enough to matter. At some point, expectations grow quiet, not because they've been met, but because you stop asking them to carry so much weight. You stop waiting for moments to fix everything. That shift is subtle, almost invisible, but it changes how the world feels. Without expectations pressing in, the night became lighter, not happier, just calmer. There was no disappointment waiting in the background, no urgency to define what this moment was supposed to be. You begin to notice how exhausting it is to constantly anticipate outcomes, to measure experiences by what they deliver rather than what they offer. Letting go of expectation doesn't mean giving up. It means allowing moments to exist on their own terms. Time behaves differently when nothing is demanding your attention. Seconds stretch. Minutes soften. The need to track progress fades. In this quiet, time wasn't something to manage. It was something to move through naturally. No alarms. No deadlines. Thoughts came and went, without attachment. There was no need to hold on to them or push them away. They passed, like the rain outside, steady, consistent, unforced. This kind of time doesn't feel wasted. It feels restorative, like something is resetting, even if you can't explain what. Pressure dissolves when time stops being an enemy. Not knowing can be uncomfortable, but it can also be freeing. When you stop demanding answers from yourself, something shifts. There was no clear direction in this moment, no decision waiting to be made, no conclusion forming, and that was okay. Uncertainty didn't feel threatening here. It felt neutral, like a pause, rather than a problem. You don't always need clarity to move forward. Sometimes you just need space to remain where you are without judgment. The night didn't offer answers. It offered permission to stop searching. As the rain softened, the room didn't change much, but something inside did. Not dramatically, not completely, just enough to notice. The quiet no longer felt heavy. It felt earned, like something you arrive at, rather than something imposed on you. There's a difference between silence that isolates and silence that holds. This was the second kind. Nothing had been resolved. Nothing had been erased. But the weight felt distributed differently. Sometimes progress isn't about moving forward. It's about redistributing what you carry. The night didn't end with a revelation. It didn't close with certainty. It simply remained. And that was enough. Some moments don't exist to change your life. They exist to remind you that you're allowed to pause, that you don't always need to explain yourself, that silence can be supportive rather than empty. When the rain finally faded into the background, it didn't feel like an ending. It felt like a transition. The room stayed quiet, the light stayed low, and the calm didn't disappear. Some nights don't demand anything from you. They just stay with you.